So here is a quick guide to Tudor money. You had a penny, and a quarter of a penny was a farthing, and in between that you had a halfpenny and a 3 farthing, and 2 pennies were half a groat, and 4 pennies were a groat. 6 pennies was just a sixpence, 12 pennies was a shilling, 30 pennies was half a crown, and 60 pennies was a crown, 120 pennies was an angel, and 240 pennies were a pound. So let's try and put this into some perspective. Ignore the nobility for this one and focus on the working class, because an unskilled labourer in the city could expect to get somewhere between 3 and 4 pence. But out in the countryside they would often get a penny less than that. However, if you were to enlist in the army, you could expect to get 8 pence. That's roughly £1 a month for a soldier and £0.50 for a labourer, let's say here in Bristol. Now what I've gone and done is I've tried to find as much information as I can on prices to show you what you could buy with that money. Rent was quite hard to find, but it seems in a shared bedroom at least you could rent a bed for about 6 pennies a week, so about quarter of your wage. However, food seemed to be quite cheap. For instance, a loaf of bread cost 2 pennies, a goose cost 4, and a chicken only cost a penny. Otherwise, 6 eggs cost you a penny, 3 apples cost you quarter of a penny or a farthing, and a tankard of ale only cost half a penny. But some things were very expensive back then, as you would expect. For instance, sugar cost a shilling a pound, and wine cost a couple shillings a bottle, plus clothes were also surprisingly expensive. Like a pair of gloves could set you back 10 shillings, and a good pair of boots could cost a couple pounds. So not everything was affordable to the working class. Well, you could make your own clothes, and many people did, but even buttons, a dozen buttons cost 9p, so they were still pretty expensive. And tobacco was also very expensive, costing a few shillings for a pound. However, some things were very cheap, like a wooden spoon, for instance, cost quarter of a penny, and entertainment in particular seemed a lot cheaper back then comparatively than what it is today. You could, for instance, go and watch Shakespeare for a penny, a deck of cards only cost you 2p, and if you were so inclined, you could visit a street prostitute for only 2p as well. Otherwise, if you wanted to arm yourself, you could get a bow made out of English wood for a couple shillings, and that's the same price as a pike. However, a musket would be a minimum of 12 shillings, and a pound of powder would cost you 7p as well, so a little out of your price range there. And if you're interested, a merchant could expect to make over £100 a year, and the nobility would make a couple £1,000 a year. So you can see how easy life was for them back then.